When everything falls apart, this is what remains. If you're watching this right now, something inside you is changing. Maybe you woke up this morning and didn't recognize the person staring back at you in the mirror. Maybe the life you built so carefully is crumbling and you can't stop it. Maybe you feel like you're losing everything you once held on to. Relationships, identity, certainty, the version of yourself you thought you'd always be. But here's what they don't tell you about the breaking. It's not destruction, it's revelation. What if I told you that this moment, this exact moment, where everything seems to be falling apart, is actually the universe removing everything that was never truly yours? What if the chaos you're feeling isn't a punishment, but a recalibration? What if your soul is clearing space for something you've been calling in for lifetimes? In this video, I'm going to show you what remains when everything else falls away. And I promise you, by the end, you'll understand why this collapse was necessary. You'll see the hidden architecture of your awakening, and you'll learn how to recognize the one thing that can never be taken from you, no matter how much changes. Stay with me until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal in the final minutes will change the way you see every ending in your life, past, present, and future. There's a kind of loneliness that no one talks about. It's not the loneliness of being physically alone, it's the loneliness of outgrowing the life you used to know, of standing in rooms full of people and feeling like you're speaking a different language, of waking up and realizing that the dreams you once chased no longer light you up, that the person you loved no longer reflects who you're becoming, that the career, the city, the identity you built suddenly feels like a costume that doesn't fit anymore. If you're feeling this right now, I need you to know something. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're not falling apart. You're shedding. This channel exists for people like you, people who sense that there's something deeper happening beneath the surface of their lives. People who experience synchronicities that are too precise to be coincidence. People who feel guided by something they can't quite name, something that traditional religion doesn't capture, and surface-level self-help can't touch. You're here because you're a seeker. And seekers don't break down, they break open. What you're experiencing right now has a name in the language of consciousness. It's called the dark night of the soul. But it's not what you think. It's not an ending. It's a threshold. It's the moment when your old frequency can no longer contain the version of you that's trying to emerge. And here's the part that will change everything. When everything falls apart, what remains is not nothing. What remains is everything, the essence, the truth, the part of you that existed before this lifetime and will continue long after, the part that cannot be shaken because it is not made of circumstances, it's made of consciousness itself. So let me ask you, have you ever noticed that right before your biggest transformations, everything seemed to collapse first? Have you ever felt the universe stripping away everything familiar, as if testing what you're really made of? That's not a test. That's a tuning. Let me tell you what's really happening to you right now, beneath the surface of what you can see. Every human being operates at a certain frequency. Think of it like a radio station. You're constantly broadcasting and receiving on a specific channel. For most of your life, you've been tuned to a frequency that matched your environment, your relationships, your beliefs about who you are and what's possible for you. That frequency felt stable, familiar, safe. But something shifted. Maybe it started with a quiet whisper in the middle of the night, a feeling that you were meant for something more. Maybe it was a crisis, a breakup that shattered your idea of love, a loss that broke you open, a moment when you looked around and thought, is this really it? Or maybe it was subtler. You started noticing patterns, seeing repeating numbers, feeling drawn to content like this, sensing that invisible hands were guiding you towards something you couldn't yet name. What happened in that moment is that your soul sent out a signal, a frequency upgrade request, and the universe answered. Here's what most people don't understand about spiritual awakening. It's not a gentle, blissful expansion where everything gets easier and you suddenly float above your problems. No, awakening is a demolition. It's the universe saying, everything that's not aligned with your true frequency has to go. And that includes relationships, jobs, identities, belief systems, places you live, and even the version of yourself you've been performing for others. You're not losing your mind. You're losing your conditioning. You're not falling apart. You're being deconstructed so you can be rebuilt at a higher resonance. Think of it like this. Imagine you've been living in a house your entire life. The walls are covered with wallpaper, layers and layers of it, put up by your parents, your culture, your past relationships, your traumas, your fears. You can't even see the original walls anymore. And then one day, something happens that starts peeling away the wallpaper. At first, it's terrifying. The house looks destroyed. You think everything is falling apart. But what's actually happening is that you're finally seeing the structure underneath, the foundation, the truth of what was always there. Right now, you're in that peeling phase. And yes, it feels like chaos. It feels like loss. It feels like you're walking through your life as a stranger. But energetically, here's what's occurring. Your electromagnetic field, your aura, your energy body is recalibrating. Old trauma stored in your cells is being released. Karmic contracts are completing. Timelines are collapsing. You're literally shedding densities that don't match the frequency of who you're becoming, and the people, places, and situations that can't match that new frequency, they fall away. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because the universe is making space. It's clearing the channel so the right frequency can come through. You've probably noticed that during this time you feel exhausted for no reason. You sleep more or you can't sleep at all. You crave solitude. You feel hypersensitive to noise, to people's energy, to the news, to small talk that suddenly feels unbearable. You might even feel physical symptoms, headaches, heart palpitations, a pressure in your chest or behind your eyes. This isn't illness. This is integration. Your nervous system is rewiring. Your energy body is expanding to hold more light, more truth, more of your soul's essence. And just like a caterpillar liquefies completely inside the cocoon before it becomes a butterfly, you have to surrender to the dissolution before the transformation completes. So when everything falls apart, what remains? Your essence remains. The part of you that is infinite. The part that was never defined by your relationship status, your career, your bank account, or your reputation. The part that knows deeply, quietly, unshakably that you are here for a reason. That part, it can never fall apart because it was never constructed. It simply is. Now let's talk about what's happening from a quantum perspective. Because once you understand this, everything changes. In quantum physics, there's a principle that says a particle exists in multiple states simultaneously until it's observed. The act of observation collapses the wave of possibility into one specific reality. You've probably heard this explained in complex ways, but here's what it means for your life right now. You exist in multiple timelines at once, and the one you experience depends entirely on the frequency you're holding. Right now, in this very moment, there's a version of you still stuck in the old relationship, replaying the same patterns, wondering why nothing ever changes. There's a version of you who gave up, who decided the awakening was too hard, who went back to sleep. And there's a version of you, the one watching this video right now, who chose to keep going, who chose to see the collapse as a clearing, who is willing to walk through the fire to become who you were always meant to be. Every choice you make, every belief you hold, every emotion you feel is a vote for which timeline becomes your lived reality. When everything falls apart, what's really happening is this. The old timeline is collapsing. The version of reality where you stayed small, where you played it safe, where you dimmed your light to make others comfortable, That timeline is dissolving. And it feels like death because, in a way, it is. But it's not your death. It's the death of a story that was never true. Here's where it gets profound. Your higher self, the part of you that exists beyond time, beyond this single lifetime, has been orchestrating this entire process. Think of your higher self as the director of your soul's movie. It sees all the timelines, all the possibilities, all the versions of you across infinite realities. And it's been gently, persistently guiding you toward the timeline where you remember who you really are. Every synchronicity you've experienced, that's your higher self leaving breadcrumbs. Every intuitive hit, every moment of déjà vu, every time you randomly stumbled upon exactly the message you needed to hear. That's not coincidence. That's coordination. Your higher self is constantly sending you signals, trying to get your attention, whispering, "This way, trust me, I know the way home." But here's the challenge. Your higher self speaks in the language of frequency, not logic. It doesn't send you a detailed plan. It sends you a feeling, a pull. A knowing that doesn't make rational sense, but feels true in your bones. And when you ignore that feeling, when you stay in the relationship because it's comfortable, when you keep the job because it's secure, when you silence your truth because you're afraid of being alone, your higher self turns up the volume. It sends bigger signs, louder synchronicities, and if you still don't listen, it orchestrates a collapse. Not to punish you, to free you. From the quantum perspective, reality is not fixed. It's fluid, malleable, responsive to consciousness. The life you see around you right now, the circumstances, the people, the challenges, is the materialized form of the frequency you were holding in the past. It's old data, old code. And if you don't like what you see, the answer isn't to fight it or force it to change. The answer is to shift your frequency and watch reality reorganize itself around the new signal you're broadcasting. But here's the part most people miss. You can't shift to a new frequency while you're still clinging to the old one. You can't step into the new timeline while you're holding on to the safety of the old one. That's why the universe has to remove things. That's why relationships end, why jobs disappear, why you suddenly feel called to leave the city you've always known. The old frequency and the new frequency cannot coexist. You have to let one die so the other can be born. And when you finally surrender, when you stop resisting the collapse and start trusting the process, something miraculous happens. You start to notice that the right people appear at the right time. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. Opportunities find you. Resources flow. It's like the universe was just waiting for you to let go, so it could finally deliver what it's been trying to give you all along. This is what remains when everything falls apart. Infinite possibility. The quantum field, holding every potential version of your life, waiting for you to choose, waiting for you to stop identifying with the collapsing timeline and start aligning with the one that's rising. Your higher self already lives in that timeline. It's calling you home. The question is, are you willing to let go of who you've been, to become who you've always been? So if there's a version of you that's already awakened, already living the life you're trying to create, already embodying the frequency you're reaching for, how do you align with it? How do you close the gap between who you are now and who you're becoming? The answer is simpler than you think, but it requires something most people aren't willing to give: complete honesty with yourself. Here's the truth: you already know what needs to change. You've known for a while. There's a voice inside you that's been whispering, maybe for months, maybe for years. It's been telling you what to let go of, where to move toward, what's no longer serving you. But you've been negotiating with it. You've been saying, yes, but not yet. Yes, but what if I'm wrong? Yes, but I'm scared. The version of you that's already awakened, it stopped negotiating. It listened to the whisper and acted on it, even when it didn't make sense, even when it was terrifying, even when everyone around them thought they were crazy. Alignment isn't about doing more. It's about becoming more honest. It's about looking at your life, your relationships, your work, your daily habits, the content you consume, the people you spend time with, and asking one simple question. Does this match the frequency of the person I'm becoming, or the frequency of the person I used to be? And then having the courage to let go of everything that belongs to the old frequency. I know that sounds extreme. I know you're thinking, but what if I let go and there's nothing on the other side? What if I leave and I'm alone? What if I walk away from security and I fail? Here's what I need you to understand. That fear is not coming from your higher self. That fear is coming from the old version of you, the one that's dissolving, desperately trying to convince you to stay in the familiar. It's the voice of your conditioning, your trauma, your programming. And it will always sound louder right before a breakthrough. But your soul is not afraid. Your soul knows that on the other side of every ending is a beginning you can't even imagine yet. Your soul knows that the universe doesn't guide you toward cliffs. It guides you toward edges where you learn to fly. Let me tell you what alignment looks like in practice. It looks like waking up and choosing to honor what your body is telling you, instead of forcing yourself into old routines that no longer feel right. It looks like saying no to invitations that drain you, even if it disappoints people. It looks like leaving conversations that feel heavy, stepping away from environments that dim your light, releasing relationships where you have to shrink to belong. It looks like following the pulls, even when they don't make logical sense. Maybe you feel called to move to a new city, and you don't know why. Maybe you feel drawn to learn something completely outside your field. Maybe you keep seeing signs pointing you toward a path that has no guaranteed outcome. That's your higher self guiding you. That's the version of you that's already awakened, sending coordinates back through time, saying, "Come this way, trust me, I'm already here." Alignment also means becoming the energetic match for what you're calling in. You can't vibrate at the frequency of fear, lack, and victimhood and expect to magnetize abundance, love, and purpose. You have to become the person who already has those things. You have to think like them, feel like them, move through the world like them. And here's the most important part. You have to start treating the collapse as sacred. Stop seeing it as something you need to fix or rush through. Stop telling yourself you should be over it by now. The falling apart is not the problem. It's the process. It's the initiation. It's the universe's way of saying you're ready for more, but first you have to release what's keeping you small. Every time you feel the grief, the confusion, the emptiness, sit with it. Don't numb it. Don't distract yourself from it. Don't try to positive think your way out of it. Feel it fully. Because on the other side of that feeling is the frequency shift you've been asking for. When everything falls apart, what remains is your capacity to alchemize, your ability to take the darkest moments and transform them into wisdom, your power to turn pain into purpose, endings into new beginnings, breakdowns into breakthroughs. The version of you that's already awakened didn't skip the darkness. They walked through it. And they realized that the darkness wasn't trying to destroy them, it was trying to reveal them. You are being revealed right now, layer by layer, mask by mask, story by story, and what's underneath pure consciousness, pure potential, pure light. So let's bring this into your body, into this moment, into something you can practice today. I want you to try something with me. It's simple, but it's powerful. And if you do this consistently, you'll start to notice the shift, not just in how you feel, but in how reality responds to you. I call it the practice of what remains. Here's how it works. Every morning when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you start replaying yesterday's problems or tomorrow's worries, I want you to sit quietly for just 3 minutes. Close your eyes. Place one hand on your heart. And ask yourself this question: if everything external was taken away, my relationships, my achievements, my identity, my possessions, what remains? And then listen, not with your mind, but with your body. Feel into the space beneath all the noise. Beneath the anxiety, beneath the fear, beneath the endless mental chatter, there's a stillness there, a presence, a sense of being that has nothing to do with what you do or who you're with or what you've accomplished. That's your essence. That's what can never be taken from you. The more you connect with that space, the less power external circumstances have over your inner state. You stop collapsing every time something falls apart, because you realize that the deepest part of you never falls apart. It's the eternal witness, the unchanging observer, the part of you that existed before this body, before this lifetime, before this universe. Here's the second part of the practice. Throughout your day, whenever you feel triggered, whenever you feel the panic rising, the old patterns pulling you back, the fear whispering that you made a mistake by letting go, I want you to pause and say this out loud or silently. I trust what is falling away. I trust what is coming toward me. I am being guided by something greater than my fear. Say it, even if you don't believe it yet. Say it especially when you don't believe it. Because every time you speak that truth, you're casting a vote for the new timeline. You're telling the universe, I'm ready. I'm choosing trust over control. I'm choosing faith over fear. And here's what will start to happen. You'll notice that the universe responds. A message will come through at exactly the right time. A person will reach out with exactly what you needed to hear. An opportunity will present itself that confirms you're on the right path. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. The universe showing you, yes, you're listening, keep going. There's one more piece I want to give you, and this one might challenge you, but it's crucial. Start thanking the things that fell apart. I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know the breakup still hurts. I know the loss still aches. I know the transition still feels overwhelming. But what if you could look at those endings and say, thank you for releasing me. Thank you for showing me what wasn't aligned. Thank you for making space for what's truly meant for me. Gratitude is the fastest frequency shift there is. When you can genuinely thank the collapse, you alchemize it. You transform it from something that happened to you into something that happened for you. And in that moment, you reclaim your power. You stop being the victim of your circumstances and become the co-creator of your reality. So tonight, before you sleep, write down 3 things that fell apart in your life. Relationships, jobs, versions of yourself. And next to each one, write, thank you for clearing the path. You don't have to feel it fully yet. Just plant the seed. Let the universe know you're willing to see it differently. When everything falls apart, what remains is your ability to choose your perspective, to choose your frequency, to choose which timeline you align with. And that choice? That's your power. That's the key to everything. So let me bring you back to the promise I made at the beginning of this video. I told you I would show you what remains when everything falls apart. Here it is. You remain. Not the you that was built by other people's expectations. Not the you that was shaped by fear or trauma or the need to belong. But the you that is infinite. The you that is consciousness itself, wearing a human form, having a human experience, but never limited by it. When everything external crumbles, and it will again and again, because that's how evolution works, what remains is the part of you that cannot be touched by time, by loss, by change, the part that has been with you since before you took your first breath, and will be with you long after this body returns to dust. That part, it's not hoping to survive the collapse. It orchestrated the collapse, because it knows something your human self is still learning. You can't become who you're meant to be while holding on to who you used to be. Every ending you've survived, every loss you've endured, every moment where you thought you couldn't go on but somehow did, those weren't signs that life was against you. Those were initiations, tests of your willingness to remember that you are not your circumstances. You are the awareness experiencing them. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds it. Right now you're standing at a threshold. Behind you is everything familiar, everything safe, everything you've known. Ahead of you is the unknown. And I know it's terrifying. I know every cell in your body is screaming at you to turn back, to grab onto something solid, to make it stop falling apart. But I'm asking you to do the opposite. I'm asking you to let it fall, to trust the demolition, to surrender to the process of becoming. Because on the other side of this collapse is the most authentic version of you that's ever existed, the version that stopped performing, the version that stopped shrinking, the version that finally said, "This is who I am, and I'm not apologizing for it anymore." When everything falls apart, what remains is everything that matters. This video ends here, but the awakening it stirred in you is just beginning. Trust what's unfolding. You're exactly where you need to be. ETA, chamada para a ação. 28 do 30 ezio. If this video reached something deep inside you, if it put words to what you've been feeling but couldn't explain, then you're part of a community of souls who are walking this path together. This channel exists for people like you, for the seekers, the sensitives, the ones who know there's more to reality than what we've been taught. For those who are willing to walk through the fire of transformation, even when it's lonely, even when no one around them understands. If that's you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Not just to add another number, but because this is a portal, a space where quantum spirituality, consciousness, and the language of the soul come together to support you through every stage of your awakening. Every video here is designed to meet you exactly where you are and guide you deeper into who you're becoming. And here's what I want you to do right now. Go to the comments and write one of two things. Either write, "I choose to trust the collapse," to anchor this new frequency into your reality, or share a recent synchronicity you experienced. When you do that, you're not just leaving a comment. You're energetically declaring to the universe that you're ready for the new timeline. You're connecting with others on the same journey, and you're reminding yourself that you're not alone in this. Before you go, there's another video that appeared on your screen. It's the next step in this journey. It's specifically designed for where you are right now, in this transition, in this recalibration. Watch it. Let it continue the work that this video started. Because the universe brought you here for a reason, and the path forward is already being illuminated for you. Thank you for trusting me with these 30 minutes of your life. Thank you for choosing to awaken. Thank you for having the courage to let things fall apart so you can finally see what remains. You are not alone on this path, and you are exactly where you need to be. I'll see you in the next video.